Today, we're diving into the official rulebook for Europe's massive marketplace. These are the laws that make sure every single business, from a huge tech giant all the way down to your favorite local coffee shop, is playing fair. And look, I know it sounds super complex, but it's really all about one thing: making sure you get a better deal. So let's get right into it. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to explore why these rules even exist. Then, we'll get into the two golden rules of fair play. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by connecting it back to what it all means for, us. All right, first up, keeping the marketplace fair. Before we jump into the what, I think it's really important to start with the why. I mean, what is the fundamental problem that all of these complicated laws are actually trying to solve? Well, think about it like this. Why can't all the big smartphone brands just, get together in a room and agree to sell their brand new models for the exact same super high price? I mean, for them, it would be easy and they'd make a ton of money. So, what's actually stopping them? This is what stops them. There's this really powerful set of rules designed to prevent that exact kind of price fixing. They exist to basically force companies to actually compete for your money, which at the end of the day leads to better products and fairer prices for every single one of us. So what are these rules exactly? Well, this is where EU competition law steps in. You can think of it as the official referee for the entire European market. Okay, first, there's a key term we gotta know: undertaking. It sounds fancy, but it's really just a legal way of saying any entity that's doing business. It could be a giant corporation, a small family-owned shop, or even a solo entrepreneur. Bottom line, if you're a player in the market, these rules apply to you. Now, this referee doesn't call a foul on every single play. They really only step onto the field when three specific conditions are met. First, it has to involve those undertakings we just talked about. Second, it's really focused on companies that have some serious market power. And third, the problem has to be big enough to actually affect trade across different EU countries. And the rulebook basically has two golden rules, two main articles you need to know. Article 101, that's all about stopping companies from ganging up on the competition and on you. And Article 102, that's about preventing one single powerful company from bullying everybody else. So, no ganging up and no bullying. Simple, right? Let's break them down. So let's kick things off with Rule 1, Article 101. This is all about putting a stop to those secret handshakes and those shady backroom deals between companies, the kind that are designed specifically to shut down competition. Okay, so this is the official logic, straight from our source material. And I know what you're thinking, it looks a little intense, but don't worry, we're going to walk through it. It's actually just a series of very logical questions. You see, it all boils down to a four-part test. To figure out if a deal is illegal, regulators basically ask these four questions. 1, is there some kind of agreement? And this could be anything from a signed contract to just a quiet understanding. 2, is it between businesses? 3, and this one is critical, is the goal of the deal or even just its effect to restrict competition? And 4, does it mess with trade between EU countries? Now, if the answer is a big, flashing yes to all four of those questions, the result is immediate and it is severe. The agreement is legally null and void. It's like it never even happened. Poof, gone. But wait a minute. What if a deal that restricts competition in some small way actually creates a bigger benefit for everyone else? Is there ever an exception to the rule? Well, yes, but the bar is set incredibly high. A deal can be saved, but only if it passes another really tough four-part test. It has to create real improvements, pass a fair share of those benefits onto us consumers, use only the restrictions that are absolutely necessary to get the job done, and it cannot completely wipe out competition. It has to tick all four of those boxes, which, let me tell you, is extremely rare. All right, let's move on to our second golden rule, Article 102. This one isn't about secret deals between companies. Nope. This is all about the actions of one single powerful company. And this is a really, really important point to get. EU law doesn't punish companies just for being successful or for becoming the dominant player in their field. Being big isn't a crime. The crime is abusing that powerful position to crush smaller rivals or take advantage of your customers. So, just like the other rule, there's a simple test, this time with 3 parts. First, does the company have a dominant position? Are they the king of the castle? Second, did they abuse that position? For example, did they charge wildly unfair prices or maybe refuse to sell to a smaller competitor? And third, did that abuse affect trade across the EU? If the answer is yes to all three, the referee blows the whistle. That's a foul for bullying. So, we've walked through the rules. Now for what I think is the most important part. Why does any of this actually matter? What's the real-world impact on you and on the European market as a whole? Well, crucially, these aren't just suggestions on a piece of paper. The system has teeth. You've got the European Commission in Brussels acting as kind of the top cop, but you've also got national authorities in every single member state, all working together to keep that playing field level. And here it is. This is the end goal. When companies are actually forced to compete fairly, they have to innovate to make better stuff. That gives you more choice as a consumer, and ultimately, all that competition drives prices down to a much fairer level. So more innovation, more choice, and fair prices. That's the real payoff. This quote from the source text really just nails it. This entire massive legal system isn't about micromanaging every little business out there. It is laser focused on the big players, the ones whose actions can truly warp an entire market and harm millions of people if they're just left unchecked. And that leaves us with one final big thought. These rules were written for a totally different economic era. Today, in a world of massive digital platforms and global tech giants that pretty much dominate our daily lives, the game is changing faster than ever. So the big question for all of us is, how is this rulebook going to adapt to make sure the marketplace of tomorrow is just as fair as the marketplace of today?